the agenda is going to be replacing the limbs on my Absolute 40. I managed to damage the top limb, and normally I would not care too much about it. I'd keep shooting, but because I'm preparing for the next indoor season, I don't want any doubts in this bow. So I just got new limbs, full sets, so top and bottom, and I'll be replacing those. And we'll see what happens. Now this is a pretty invasive operation on this bow, which means that all the tuning done on it will have to be redone after. Before I start, I measured everything on this bow. So brace height, draw weight, where the knock is, where the peep sight is, where where everything is on this bow. So I know the specs and details for my bow because I have this thing shooting the way I want it, and I don't want anything to change. But that said, if anything changes, I still have, a month and a half to 2 months to basically bring it back to where it is before tournament season starts. So first I'm going to do is just remove the draw stops, put the bow on a press, relax it completely, remove all the strings and cables, flip the limbs, put back everything on, shoot a couple arrows, see what happens, and then possibly retune the bow. Alright, so the bow is in a press now. As you can see, it's been pressed and the rigging has been completely removed. One thing I forgot to mention is that I'm actually backing out the limb bolt all the way, so there's the least amount of pressure on the bow. And when I'm taking out the rigging, I'm actually using zap straps, which helps in two ways. One, I make sure that strings don't get any twists in and out. And also, as I'm pulling them, say, from closest into the furthest one out, that's how I'm threading them onto the zap strap, so that when they go back in, I know exactly which string came from where. There we have it. So now I'm going to relax the bow, keeping pressure on the riser, make sure this thing doesn't jump or anything. And then once the bow is out of the press, I'll change the limbs. Alright, so I have the bow, the strings are out, the bow is relaxed, so next is going to be basically pulling the limbs out and replacing them with the new ones. So the new ones, I have them marked by the guys at Archery, so I know which ones are the tops, which ones are the bottoms, even though for the most part they should be the same limbs. After pulling the limbs out, I'll have to move the blocks that are holding the axles for the cams and just transfer those. So that'll be right there. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to back out these 4 screws and then pop the limbs out. And then hopefully that's going to be the end of that. And then I'll just put the new ones in and then swap the cams. So these are the bottom ones. So let me get going. I need to loosen these side knobs as well. They seem to be holding the limbs in place. So I'll need, what do I need for that? And there we have it. The bottom set is out, so the only thing holding these limbs together is the cam axle. One thing that's super important is not to try to jam anything in. So anything on these bows can be loosened up pretty nicely. And then everything needs to be tightened back together. Like that goes particularly for these knurled knobs. They're holding the limbs in place. If those are not loosened enough, like once the limbs are jammed in, they can crack, they can splinter again. So it's just easy. Loosen everything up. Put everything in place, tighten everything up. Everything fits pretty much dead on, so there is no question
as to, you know, whether you're doing everything the right way. Like, parts will fit in well. As far as how tight this should go, I would say just be smart about it, you know, like tighten it by hand, make it snug but not super tight. Don't over tighten anything because the carbon might crack. There we go. So now I tighten back these knobs. And there we have it. So now the only thing left is to actually get the cam and the axles out of the old limbs, put them back into the new ones. To do that, I'm just gonna back out the 4 screws that are on the limbs, and I think that should be all I need to do. Alright, so there we have it. I just need to repeat the same thing on the top cam and then restring the bow. Alright, so the limbs have been replaced. Cams are back on the limbs, everything is ready to go. Now it's time to put the bow back in the bow press, press it, put the strings back, and hopefully not much will change after that. That looks good. I'm gonna try to put some strings on it now. Alright, so the bow is ready. Before I shoot any arrows, I'm gonna put it on a draw board, like make sure it pulls right, comes down right, kind of slowly inspect everything. I'm gonna make sure that there's no cam lean, make sure I haven't messed up anything with the strings and cables. See where the bow maxes out, check for draw length, and let's see what happens. Alright, so here it is on the draw board. With the bolts all the way in, it maxes out at 59.7, which is pretty close to the 60 pounds that this thing should get. I'm going to check for some cam lean. Just take an arrow. Looks good. There may be slight lean. So what I need to do is I need to twist the basically I need to twist the cam a little bit this way. I gotta add some twists right there. So I'm gonna do that next. And after that, I'm going to shoot the bow.